kindergarten teacher at the Thomas Garrett Settlement House in Wilmington, Delaware. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Miss Alma Woodsy Thomas. I believe that's where we will start this gallery notes. Are we ready, Edison?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Let's do it. I'll take my glasses off and welcome the people. Actually, we'll go right here. Hello, everyone. My name is Chase McCurdy. I'm the host of Gallery Notes, as well as the director here at 33 Gallery, also known as 33G. This is Gallery Notes. I'm here in space today, as always, with our dear brother, Edison Lockwood II, filmmaker and media director here at 33G. And I'm also here with Miss Samantha Vitone, our associate director here at the gallery. Today, we are following up with what I think of as the part two to our Back to the Basics, and that is 3 black women artists today that we're going to cover. Last week, we spoke about Charles White, Jack Whitten, and Norman Lewis. And today, we're going to touch on 3 women who I find to be very important in Betty Saar, Alma Thomas, and Carrie Mae Weems. And so, without wasting our time, we're going to get right into it. I'm very excited. And before we get going, this is a great place for a plug for our Sisterhood exhibition that'll be opening here June 5th, running until July 31st. This will be the first contemporary art show here at the gallery this year in 2026, and it is an exhibition that we're very excited to bring you very much around this idea of sisterhood through nourishment, through exhibition, through reflection, and through communication. But with that, let's get going. You see my excitement. Alma Thomas is an artist that I constantly and always teach from and with. I believe her example, much like 2 of our artists, really all the artists last week, her example of a life in practice and a display of what it means to be an artist and an artist in practice in different forms. Alma Thomas is very well accomplished in what you would think of as institutional art, being the first black woman with a solo exhibition at the Whitney Museum of American Art. But she really is someone deeply grounded in the black or African American experience, and really is a great example of what it means to use your skills and education to serve future generations, or what I like to think of as future ancestors, while engaging with one's own thoughts, ideas, philosophies, and still making space toward the end of her life to flourish as a well-known contemporary artist. Alma Thomas, some biographical information, was the first fine art graduate, and I'll refer to our book here, Everything is Beautiful, just to make sure we have our dates right. But Alma Thomas was the first fine arts graduate at Howard University in 1924. And she later earned a master's degree in art education from Teachers College at Columbia University in 1934. So she comes from a deeply grounded background, as well as this idea of most of her career being spent as a public educator, teaching in the arts, to then in her 70s, I want to say, if not late 60s, being the first black woman, as I mentioned earlier, to have that solo show at the Whitney Museum of Art. Today we're going to talk about a couple of her pieces. Shout out to Miss Samantha. She said she challenged me to reference 2 works, or at least a work that I don't normally reference, which is a fun challenge. So today we're going to look at 2 works that very much speak to 2 of her, concurring interests as an artist, right? She is, for me, a mother of black abstraction, much like Norman Lewis, last week a father of black abstraction. She does the same, and two of her interest points very much being the natural world around her, as well as ideas of space exploration, and broader universal themes in that way. I like to think of her work as almost mosaic. Like I teach Miss Alma Thomas very often alongside color theory because I feel as though she is building beautiful compositions with blocks of color. So two works that I'm going to show up on the screen. We're going to start first with Cumulus. And I'm showing the book, like I can't just put the picture up. But Cumulus, a 1972 acrylic painting on canvas. So this is another one getting up in age. This painting was completed in 1972, and Alma Thomas lives from 1891 to 1978. So we're talking 6 years before her transition. You have Cumulus, 1972, a 71 by 53 inch painting. And what I love about this piece is that, once again, it speaks to that love of nature and exploration. You see her mosaic quality, but you also see almost a softening and blurring of that alongside that defined tile. I believe that her work speaks to a subtle spirit, and one that I've been fortunate to be with at least one of her works in person, and that transference of spirit through medium is very present in her work. And the next piece that we're going to show you is Starry Night and the Astronauts, another 1972 work of a similar size, 60 by 53 inches. And here you see that idea of space, of the universe above, astronauts speaking to space exploration in that way. And so, quick pause. Thank you, Samantha. That's why we have a team with us. We appreciate you. But yeah, this piece speaks to, once again, that space and universal aspect, and I love how they work together. One artist, one belief, one life, but multiple pieces and places of inspiration. I could talk all day about Alma Thomas, but we're going to move on in the sake of time because I realized I was probably rambling. And this is where we have natural reminders. And shout out to that phone call that we received. Our next artist we're going to speak to, whom I love, is Betty Saar. This is a black woman who works in what we call assemblage. Shout out to Queen Betty. She is still with us. She's in her 90s, and another sterling example of an artist practicing all through their life, as it really is a life practice. She's very, for me, famous for works like Black Girl's Window or The Revolution of Aunt Jemima. This is not the right title, but we're going to put it up on the screen so you can see it. But really reclaiming this figure, this Aunt Jemima figure that has so much history and disrespect and so much in it, and reclaiming that figure. And I love a bit of rebelliousness in this piece. But we are going to reference and read something from that is within Heart of a Wanderer. This is a book that speaks to Betty Saar's notebook practice. Shout out to Miss Samantha Matone, our associate director, who added this to the gallery library. And we are going to read a written piece by Miss Betty Saar that accompanied an artwork. This piece is titled Watching. She stands by the window, behind the grill, peering past the curtain, thinking back, looking forward, collecting the twilight corners that hover in the ancestral past, pursuing the Nubian shadows of her grandmother's grandmother, seeking sacred symbols of the unknown, house of an ancient memory, her heartbeat echoing a tribal drumbeat, watching in the shadows of silence, thinking back, through lost dimension of time, past terrain, collecting random thoughts of unrecognized rivers, flowing from Europe's shores into the seas, sailed by the strangers behind the mass of indifference. Watching, looking forward, unearthing the future, always just out of focus. The unseen pages of her journal of dreams. Dreams, the flowering of her great-grandchildren's children, their smiles that'll mimic the smiles she left behind. Her secret heart wishes that their quest, their habits of the heart, dissolve the differences between and expand to unconditional love. Watching, she stands by the window, behind the grill, peering past the curtain. She stands, a sign of the times, a version of survival, a survival of the spirit. A bridge spanning the chasm to the next century, watching old Jim Crow still hanging around her window, watching. That was Betty Saar, Watching, 1996. Statement for her artwork, Watching, 1995. I wanted to share that because I believe Betty Saar is one of our great examples of artists who, if you look at her work over time, so much of that is said through what she's exploring in theme and idea, in that she's able to express herself probably verbally after so many visual explorations as she gets to these words. I'd love to speak with her about it, but you see an artist sincere in her expression and exploration. Thank you, Queen Betty, for your continued gifts. And last piece here is Carrie Mae Weems, a photographer, contemporary artist still practicing. I love to always reference her work and her seminal work, the Kitchen Table series, when I think of what is possible, the possibilities of Black women's art, because I think the Kitchen Table series so simply and so powerfully captures the experience, the feeling, idea. It is almost expressed empathy of the Black woman's experience from one place, the kitchen table, and it is done through photographs and words. And this powerful body of work garnered Carrie Mae Weems a great amount of attention. It is a very famous body of work, but I just like to bring it up in the context that you don't need much but your sincere and honest story. In a time where so many are trying so hard to create the next thing, the coolest thing, the most interesting thing, or trying to get all the eyes, I think sincere expression is what will win, no matter what the medium is. Storytelling, and good storytelling, and good from the sense of its honesty, its transference of message, of timelessness, but also timeliness, is always necessary. And I think these women give examples of that idea, and I just wanted to share them. I'm rambling, but I'm very appreciative to these Black women artists, and there's so many more. And we're going to get deeper into our art bag, as we like to say, back to basics with gallery notes. Thank you for joining us. Please look up these artists and learn more, and we will talk soon. This is Chase McCurdy, the director of 33G. As always, I'm here with Edison Lockwood II, and now, as always, our associate director, Samantha Fatone. And we look forward to rapping with you next week. Peace.